This is not just another golf podcast. This is Golf Underground. This is Golf Underground. We just happen to be the third funniest podcast in golf. We interview PGA Tour pros, Hall of Fame athletes, rock stars, business leaders. Sure, we talk about golf, but we have fun. All right, let's do it. Welcome to Golf Underground. Now your hosts, Wardo, Sully, and MLB Hall of Famer George Brett.
Hey, welcome to Golf Underground. We got a great show. It's been a few weeks. I miss you, George. I miss you, Charlie and Wardo. Your kid's probably 14 years old at this point. It's been so long.
Yeah.
So I think we should all get together for the holidays. George is coming back this week. George, maybe we can have a little hot toddy with you. What do you say?
I think that sounds great. Let's do it.
All right, let's do it. Hey, listen, we got a good show. We got Mike Fox. He's a senior category director of golf balls at the one and only TaylorMade, of which I am a big fan. He leads global product strategy for the most competitive categories in golf. He's got over 20 years in the industry. He's helped, and this is kind of big because, you know, I'm a sales guy. He helped triple global revenue. That's a lot of money. And what's really fun is he gets to work with the likes of Rory, McIlroy, and Nelly, Korda, and he really sits at the center where performance, innovation, and business of golf meet. And so I'm eager to learn a little something about my golf ball and why I continue to keep buying TaylorMade over the others. So you can validate my purchasing decisions here today, Mike.
Oh, that was as good an intro as I could possibly ask for. And I'm more than happy to validate all of your performance gains.
Awesome. Awesome. All right. Hey, and so we'll just sort of bounce around here. I guess my first question for you would be, when was that first moment you realized golf balls actually matter?
The first time I realized golf balls actually mattered was probably around 20 years ago. When you started step foot, and one of my first projects was actually the launch of our TP Red and TP Black golf balls back in 2005. So 20 years ago, when I first started working here at TaylorMade, we had this massive golf ball launch at Reynolds Plantation down in Georgia, and we had Sergio and Justin Rose and a bunch of our other tour athletes at the time. And we put on this massive event over an entire week at that event. And we literally had some of the best players in the world, as well as some media professionals like yourself, hitting our golf ball versus some of the competitors. And you could tell real quick that if you weren't making a good golf ball, people were going to know really quick. Not just the best players in the world, but amateur golfers as well. So I'd say that '05 ball launch when TaylorMade said, hey, we're getting into this game and we're going to get into it in a real way. And granted, it took another 10 years until I think we really started building up kind of that reputation as a golf ball brand. But for me, it was 20 years ago. You couldn't look at the people that were working on these products, what the efforts that had to go into it, the patents that had to go into it, the testing from the best players in the world, and not realize, hey, this isn't monumentally important to how golfers play the game. Because heck, I'm biased, but I say it's the most important piece of equipment because it's the only one you use on every shot.
Yeah.
Very true. Did you know right then in '05, like, all right, we've got something here, this is it? Or obviously, I know you said it took another 10 years or so, but like, when did you know you're like, wow, we're making a splash?
So Penta happened another, would have been 2012. So it was another 7 years later. So we launched the first 5-layer golf ball. In '05, when we launched our first golf balls with cast urethane, that was really the company's commitment to say, hey, we're going to do this the right way. But we hadn't put our kind of TaylorMade stamp on it yet. Granted, I know the golf ball said TaylorMade, but we hadn't had the core competencies of decades of building golf balls to really kind of know what we didn't know. I'd say when we first launched Penta, that was us being TaylorMade. And when I say being TaylorMade, I mean being innovative, being willing to take risks, changing the industry, right? The first 5-layer golf ball that kind of ever been launched from an OEM happened with that Penta golf ball in 2012, and it changed the way golf balls were designed from then on out. So that's when I really felt like, hey, we're here and we're making products kind of at the level with the best players in the world. But then it was another 12 years after that with the launch of the first 5 and 5X in 2017, which is when I think we finally got to where we are now, which is, hey, TaylorMade stands as much for golf balls as they do anything. So I'd say '05 is when I first knew. I'd say 2012 is when we first really launched Penta and the market started to take note that TaylorMade's being innovative, not just in clubs, but in balls as well. And then 2017 with the launch of the first 5 and 5X golf balls is when, hey, we really started leading in performance, not just innovation.
Mike, what's the big deal about a 5-layer golf ball? Translate that for the regular guy.
Yeah, so there's two easy ways for me to talk about layers. So layers are like levers, which means is the more levers you have, the more things you can make that golf ball do. And I can make it soft, I can make it fast, I can make it spin more with these clubs, I can make it spin less with these clubs. So layers in essence are just levers that we have as a development team to make golf balls do different things. Because golf balls, as we talked about, right, you hit them with every club. So they need to do different things depending on which club you're hitting them with. So specifically what 5 layers allows us to do better than any other products out there is decouple is not a non-technical word, but separate low driver spin with high wedge spin because they're different clubs. For drivers, you want low driver spin to reduce friction in the air to go as far as possible. With wedges, you want to create as much spin as possible. So with 5 layers, it allows us to decouple or separate the clubs that you're hitting all the way to the core with to be able to drop spin, and the clubs you're only really interacting with the covers with to increase spin around the green. When you're talking about other companies that are using 3 or 4 layer golf balls, if you want a golf ball that spins a lot with the wedges, great. That's probably going to spin a lot with the driver as well, and vice versa. You want something that's going to go low driver spin to maximize your distance, it's probably not going to check much around the green. What 5 layers really allows us to do is separate those two components to give you the best of both worlds. We call it, I know the most complete tour ball sounds like a marketing term, it kind of is, but it just doesn't make it not true. It means that we can make these golf balls perform differently on the clubs that you're hitting. We're trying to maximize the performance on each of the clubs that you're going to be hitting with that golf ball.
Sully, I figured out how to sell you a driver. So Sully's been in like 4 different times to try to do driver testing, and we can't beat his current gamer. But we're just going to throw him in a piece of shit 3-layer ball and just
there it is. Let's spin off the mark. Yeah. I joke to people all the time. People spend all this time with club fittings. They're using range balls or they're in simulators and they're doing all these club fittings. I mean, I could have a golf ball. I mean, I see golf balls in the market that spin 500 RPMs different, right? So you spend however many time with someone getting their spin from 3,000 to 2,700, and you spend an hour getting their driver dialed in. But then you realize they're using a high spin driver golf ball. Why not switch their golf ball, take them from 2,700 to 2,500 and find another 5 yards? And it's a huge component we talk about here when it comes to fitting that sometimes people love to leave out is, hey, what golf ball are you using? And make sure it's going to line up with how you're playing your game.
Hey, on that front, what's the number one thing you see? I have some thoughts, but what's the number one thing you see is like a common mistake amongst the weekend warriors or the amateurs?
Yeah. So
there's a golf ball.
Yeah. So I got to be careful because there's some other media people out here that made this claim and people don't want to believe it. But it's one of those things from an engineering standpoint, from a physics standpoint, a lower compression golf ball isn't necessarily going to be better for a slower swing speed player. It's not. People think that, hey, if I have a lower compression golf ball and I don't swing as fast, I can compress that golf ball more and it's going to spring off even better. But that's not how the impact works. Ideally, you want as firm a golf ball as possible because your club face isn't a rigid object. Your club face is a trampoline. So you want a golf ball that's as firm as possible to make that face, that trampoline flex in to fire that golf ball out. Hopefully you can see at least some of that animation. It didn't look too weird, but I'd say the biggest conception is, hey, if I'm an older, slower swinging golfer, I need a low compression golf ball so that golf ball compresses and it's going to rebound out. When it's actually the exact opposite. You want a golf ball that's going to be as firm as possible to make that face deflect. So it's like a trampoline. You want that trampoline to bend down as far as possible to create up as much energy as possible, create as much distance. So it's tough to convince people of this one, but typically, arguably, the slower the swing speed, the firmer the golf ball you should be playing.
Wow.
So but that's a tough one because people love the feel. They love all those type of things.
So you're telling me when your driver makes contact with a ball, your driver bends in a little bit?
Yeah, 100%. It's like a trampoline.
Get out of here.
Exactly like a trampoline.
Like how much does it do it? 1/8 of an inch? Or...
No, it'd be less than that. You're talking about maybe like 20 microns or 10, which is the millionth of a meter. But that's where most of the energy is happening because the golf ball, anytime the golf ball deforms, it doesn't rebound at the same rate. So if you drop any golf ball, if you drop anything right on the ground, whether it's a golf ball or a super ball or marshmallow, there's nothing physically that when you bounce it on the ground is going to bounce higher than where you dropped it.
Right.
Nothing. I don't care if it's the bounciest rubber ball you got. If you bounce it on the ground from your head, it's not going to magically bounce and then go further up. And that's because anytime that golf ball deforms, no matter how small, it's going to lose energy. So nothing is decompressing or compressing and then bouncing back with more energy. It's not a spring in that respect.
Well, George, it would probably be.
Well, I've seen the video. I've seen videos of golf balls, slow motion.
Oh yeah,
when,
they're like
when
pancakes.
it strikes something, the ball basically gets half the size, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Or whatever.
That's an exaggeration, but yeah, it does. So the golf ball deforms a lot, but when it reforms, it doesn't reform at the same energy that it went in at. It loses energy every time it deforms. So ideally, what you're trying to do is make that face act as much like a trampoline as possible to create that distance. So the more your golf ball deforms, the less the face will trampoline. And then all you're relying on is that golf ball bouncing back. And that's not going to be as long as if you had that face really compress in.
So, can I ask you one more question and let these guys do it? I used to caddy for a guy on tour once in a while, Larry Ziegler. I don't know if you remember that name. He's probably 85 years old now. Yeah. He won a couple times on tour, but he would use a ball for 3 holes. That was it. He would switch a ball every 3 holes. And so I guess I'll use a ball for 18 holes if I can find it, as long as I don't have smudges and cart paths and rocks on it, If I get a smudge, I'll take it off. But if you use a ball for 18 holes, will it still perform as well as like it was in the second hole?
Yeah, so there's a few things in there. So the reason Mr. Ziegler would change the golf ball out so much is because those golf balls were wound. So it's no different than like baseballs, right? Like they deform. So like those golf balls, if you hit them as hard as professional golfers were hitting them back then, they would egg. So like they just weren't as round. Versus now everything is made out of rubbers and polymers and are injection molded. So they keep their roundness. They don't deform unless it's under extreme heat, like 130 degrees and extreme pressure. So you don't have to worry about golf balls deforming. So he was taking the golf balls out because they weren't round anymore.
Right. Okay.
Now you can play a golf ball and not have to worry about being round. It's really what you talked about secondarily is how is whatever you're doing to the golf ball, whether it's hitting a car path or hitting a tree or whatever it might be, not cleaning it, are you messing with the aerodynamics? That's the biggest thing that when you want to change out a golf ball. Mm-hmm. You eventually have something that's going to affect the aerodynamics of a golf ball, which is something that we're really paying a lot of attention to now. That's when you start really seeing an impact. So we have tour players that change a golf ball once a round like you do. Like as long as they don't make a bogey, they'll play a golf ball the entire round because they're not hitting too many cart paths. And then you have some golfers that are changing it every 2 or 3 holes. Anytime you get this tiniest little grass stain on it, you're kicking that thing out. And aerodynamics are as important to golf balls as anything. And you think about what you're doing to the cover of that golf ball. In essence, the paint or the cover is what the air sees when that golf ball travels through the air. So you want to make sure that dimple patterns are as intact as they can to make sure you're optimizing not just the drag through ascent, but also the lift through descent. Because what's really unique with a golf ball is you want it to launch with as least drag as possible. You want it to not overfloat on you on the ascent. And then on the descent, you want that golf ball to stay in the air as long as possible. So we spend a lot of work. We have guys with PhDs in physics and aerodynamicists and all these things to make sure we're optimizing these lift drag coefficients. Again, not trying to get too technical, but basically maximizing your aerodynamics so that golf ball goes as far. So if you do anything to that golf ball that hinders that, you're going to affect how far it goes.
What if you find a ball in the woods? Should you not play it in an important tournament?
If it's not a TaylorMade, I would definitely suggest making sure you kick it further in the woods. That's always my favorite is when I find golf balls and then just hit them further into the woods or hit them into the creeks. People are blown away when they see that. I've now got enough of my buddies realize that, hey, if you want golf balls from me, you're all in or you're out.
Right. So, why do I find so many noodles? I find noodles in those woods all the time.
Yeah. So if you see a golf ball in the woods and it's not overly damaged and it's a TaylorMade, play it. You might find a new golf ball you fall in love with. Underwater is tough. If you see someone that's selling golf balls that they're scuba diving for, golf balls pick up moisture, and granted it's extreme, but anything more than a day or two underwater, the golf ball is going to get heavier. That golf ball is going to get saturated. And you got to be really careful with golf balls that you find underwater.
Yeah, good tip.
Yeah. So we had this guy growing up. This is when I knew I was going to be in the industry. This guy that lived down the street had a sign that said golf balls. Literally open up his garage, selling them in egg cartons. And I would just go in there and buy so many Top Flight Magnas back in the day.
I had a buddy's dad. They asked me if I could help him move. And he had been saving every golf ball from every driving range he ever went to, where you'd see like a real ball in the bucket. And he'd pull it out, put it in his bag, and he had a big keg container in his closet. And he'd throw them in there for when he was going to eventually retire. And he's like, oh, if I just grab one out of every range bucket I ever hit, and I got a whole big keg container full of golf balls, when I retire, I won't need any more golf balls ever again. It was hard telling that guy that after 10 years, those golf balls probably weren't exactly how we wanted them to perform anymore. Because again, they pick up moisture and plastics age over time, and some of those were wound. I crushed them a little bit, so I gave him maybe a free case, I think, to make him feel better.
Nice. Thanks for joining the Golf Underground. Now, the Golf Underground is brought to you by Star Companies, KC. Experience a more energy efficient and comfortable home with Star's insulation services. Regal Distributing, specializing in the distribution of food service and professional cleaning supplies to a variety of industries. Cowell Insurance, providing brokerage and risk management services for over 25 years. Sono Orthopedics, care plans backed by research and clinical results tailored perfectly to individual needs. Bob Sight Ford and Bob Sight Independence Kia, where you'll score a double eagle on your next car or truck. Lewisburg Ford, nobody sells more F-150s than Lewisburg Ford. And Celebrity Greens, put a custom PGA caliber putting green in your backyard for the ultimate golf experience. Now, onto the program.
Hey,
the Chief. Yeah, go ahead.
What's the coolest thing, like a great story from on tour, from dealing with tour pros and golf balls, where you're just like, wow, that was an unbelievable fit, or just a cool story from out there?
Yeah, there's a couple. The most recent one was last year, and we advertised this, but we were at our photo shoot, and Nelly Korda was talking to one of our newly signed AMs, and we caught her on a hot mic. Basically, it was what you hope to catch someone on a hot mic, where I get a note from one of our editors being like, hey, take a look at what Nelly said. And she basically was saying, they asked her how she liked the TaylorMade golf ball because she just switched. She was #1 player in the world, and it's pretty amazing for a #1 player in the world to switch her golf ball. And her comment was basically like, hey, I wish I switched earlier. Like I made a mistake thinking that the golf ball I was using was the best out there. This TaylorMade ball is the best golf ball out there. And it was such a cool deal to be like, this was unprompted. This was a non-marketing line. This is something that she just kind of caught on a hot mic because she doesn't want to say anything bad about anything. But it was so cool that last year she had won 5 times with the ball, and she was just blown away that like she thought she could switch a golf ball and it would make that big of a difference in her game. For me, that was a really cool, validating moment from someone at her level. Then the other one was back in 2017. We just signed John Rahm, and again, he'd been using the same golf ball for his entire career. And he'd struggled with a couple things. He's a guy that was super steep. He spins the ball like crazy, as a lot of better players do. And he would always suck the golf ball off the green. But he knew that if he went to a lower spinning golf ball with his wedges, it wouldn't work for his driver. And we were able to give him a golf ball that just was so much longer and straighter, and he never realized. Again, we ran a commercial with it. It was just one of those like such natural, unprompted kind of things to get these type of visceral reactions to just a golf ball and just be like, you have this thing like, how is this possible? How? I don't get it. Like, I don't understand how this is happening. It's so cool because they know their games better than anybody in the world. These people hit hundreds of thousands of golf balls in a year and millions of golf balls in their life. They know everything about how they expect that golf ball to react when they put a swing on it. And for something different to happen, you can tell it just fries their brains. It's really, really cool. And then probably the last one is watching Rory win the Masters this year, 2 weeks after making a golf ball switch. It was a big point of pride for me and the team. He obviously been pushing for that for a long time. And for him to credit the golf ball and being able to get that extra spin so he could control himself around Augusta was super duper cool. There was a few of them. There's a bunch more. Just keep jumping to mind. One of them I can't talk about yet because it's on the new product. But we had some stuff come up at our photo shoot just 2 weeks ago with all of our athletes, to where we showed them something that they didn't see coming. So actually I can talk about it because this isn't going to come out for another month or so. But yeah, we showed them something that I think they didn't expect to see. I think tour players are so great, right? They're the best in the world. They know their swings better than anybody. To show them something that they didn't realize or they weren't aware of that affects performance is the coolest moment it gets.
So you're talking about all these guys switching, going from, let's say, Titleist to TaylorMade.
Yep.
Have you had a lot of guys leave TaylorMade to go to Titleist or Bridgestone or whatever?
Not too many, not unless it was mutual, which ends up being a little bit more of a financial discussion. But no, I'd say, I mean, we've been the fastest growing ball in market for a long time now, which means for us, for the last pushing 8-9 years now, that means every day or every year, every month, we have people switching into our golf ball, but then the people that are in our golf ball stay. Like, you can't grow the way we're growing unless you keep people in your product, but then bring on new people. And that's really been the run we've been on the last 8 or 9 years. So
everybody
every once in a while we lose a person here or there, but for the most part, we're gaining more than we lose.
No, I believe you. I know you guys got a good ball, and I know professional athletes. I know college coaches. I know all these people. A lot of it's about money. Look at Lane Kiffin and Ole Miss, what he did. And then he goes on this press conference at LSU and says, I don't even know what I'm making. Well, I guarantee you're making more than you made at Ole Miss, you dumb shit. Don't pull that crap on me. Yeah. And I'm an Ole Miss guy, so I was pissed. But, does everybody that plays, I know John Rahm, I know Rory, they get a little compensation or a lot of compensation. You got a lot of players on tour. Does everybody on tour get paid by the ball company, the glove company, the club company? Or some guys just say, hey, look, I know you don't have enough money. I just want to play the ball because I think it's going to help my game.
Yeah, so it's tough. I don't think there's anyone on the PGA Tour that's not getting compensated for their golf ball. Maybe there's one, but I'd be really, really surprised. Mm-hmm. No one with full PGA Tour status, and even most of the people with exempt status or conditional status would all be getting.
What does Joel Damon play? Is he on TaylorMade's team?
He's not. So okay. Joel Damon, I believe, is Titleist or Srixon.
Okay, so I'm playing in his tournament tomorrow. Yeah.
What I'd say is probably the biggest one for us is if you looked at TaylorMade as a golf ball company 10 years ago, even 5 years ago, very few, not even very few, but not all of our players were using all the clubs and the ball. And now pretty much everyone that we sponsor is using the ball as well. And a lot of those people came over as much for the ball as anything. When we signed Rory McIlroy, he had a deal basically inked with another company. And then he was playing a practice round at the Masters with Dustin Johnson. Dustin was doing things with his ball that Rory wasn't doing. And he came out, we got a kind of a last second request, like, hey, can you send Rory some golf balls? And he even said in his press conference, he's like, hey, I knew TaylorMade made incredible equipment. I just didn't realize the golf ball performed like this. And that's as much a reason as anything for why I came over. And so for us, it's tough to say, hey, we don't have the most players on tour because we're not spending that kind of money. We have arguably the best players on tour now with the number 2 and number 3 players, the top couple women players, and starting to almost lead on the AJGA tour as well, which is that developmental tour, top amateur players. So I'd say that the really defining factor there is, are people using your clubs and not your ball, which isn't the case for us anymore with the exception of one. And are you bringing in more top players every single year? 5-10 years ago, it would have been hard, even if we threw more money at people than everyone else, to get them to use the golf ball because it's such an important piece of equipment that you can't make a bad product and still get PGA Tour players to kind of come over and play it unless you're making individual golf balls for them. So I think that's the biggest validator for us is that we're bringing in more top players every year and the people that are using our clubs are using our golf balls as well. Doesn't matter if you're on the amateur levels or the professional levels. That's really a big one for us is we used to maybe have that reputation 10, 15 years ago where, hey, I'll play your clubs, but not your ball. And that's not the case anymore. If anything, a lot of times the ball is the reason they're coming over.
On these, there's a lot of players that tour guys or whatever that'll play. They're still on, doesn't matter what company necessarily, but they'll be on the 19 Titleist or whatever. Do you think that's more mental than anything when they're still hung up on an older golf ball or a certain vintage of golf ball?
The players' games, some of it's mental and some of it's just time. Tiger had kind of what I thought was one of the coolest lines I'd heard because when famously in 2016, when Nike kind of got out of the golf equipment business, and he came over and we signed him to I think a 14 club deal or a 13 club deal. And we said, hey, we'd love for you to play the ball as well. And he said, hey guys, I'm sure you make an incredible golf ball, but I don't have enough swings left in my body to learn a new golf ball. And that's kind of where he was at his career, where he's like, I've hit a millions of golf shots. I know what this golf ball does when it's humid. I know what it does at elevation. I know what it does when it's raining. I know what it does on Monday. And I know what it does when I'm tired on Sunday. He's like, I know every component. He's like, I'm sure your golf ball is great, but it's not this golf ball. And I don't have enough swings left in my body to learn a new product at this point in my life. There's also some compensation that had to do with that as well. And that's why the golf ball he had switched to was in essence identical to the golf ball that he was playing at Nike, because it was arguably the company that was making that golf ball for a period of time. So for us, yeah, I think a lot of it is just if you get some players that are typically a little bit older or they're in a groove, they have so much time with it that they don't have the time to kind of learn something new. If you get some of these more elite players, if you get some of the younger players, or you get someone that's just looking to make a change, that's when we get the most players is, hey, I'm struggling with my greenside performance. Rory was looking to change. Hey, I'm struggling with my driver distance. And then we pick up some other players because our golf ball just does stuff that other people's don't. So it's not as typically, hey, I don't want to play that golf ball anymore. It's more like, hey, what do I need out of my game? And then that's the opportunity for us to pick up more athletes.
Hey, what do you say to
to get better?
What do you say to the folks that say the golf ball has gotten too good and it's making the courses obsolete?
So I don't know. Golf's still pretty hard for me.
That's what I think.
I very frequently come off a golf course and say, wow, that was too easy.
Right.
I had too much fun, right? I made too many birdies.
Right.
Like, I mean, I don't get that one too much, but I mean, we were open with the USGA and the kind of the back and forth over the last few years that, hey, I think a lot of the stuff they're talking about or what we said they're talking about is regarding kind of the elite players. And now you see what the PGA Tour is saying. In essence, our job as an equipment manufacturer is to continue to make the product as good as we can, right? And a lot of this is the athletes are getting physically better. They're getting better access to technology that's allowing them speed training. So, I mean, some of it's the golf ball, some of it's not. I think for us, I think birdies are fun. Golfers continue to struggle, and it's our job to continue to make the game as fun as possible by pushing the limits. We work closely with the USGA. Whatever they decide, we'll find ways to continue to push the performance on. So I think from us, our job is to make the game more fun for golfers and continue to push performance to do that. And the USGA has their own kind of things that they're trying to hold on to. It'll be interesting how the next few years roll out. But for us, we had a great back and forth with them in developing these new rules that they're planning to roll out in 28 and 30. Yeah, I don't know. But for me, I'd still like to hit it further. And I'd still like, this game still seems pretty hard to me from time to time.
Yeah, that's a good answer. You said any tour player ever tried to convince you that something actually really mattered about the golf ball, but then your data says no, your gut is not matching.
Yeah, it's actually been typically when tour players see something, it's there. They are so good, like beyond good. George, Mr. Brett. I remember the first time I saw a professional baseball player shake the bat to show how much flex he was having in his wood bat. And I was like, I've never seen that before. Like I played baseball in high school, but never at the professional level. And I didn't even know there was differences in flexibility of baseball bats. Watching these professional golfers so in tune to what they hit a golf ball and they know what it should do, and then relay it back and to us looking at the data and being like, hey, we don't see that in the data. Typically the data is wrong, which is amazing. So everyone's familiar with like TrackMan units. TrackMan units are incredible. They're the best in the market. But the further you get away from the TrackMan unit, the more an algorithm kicks in. It's a radar-based system, but the further you get away, it's not as accurate as it is when it's close to the unit. So what ends up happening is when you get 200 yards, 250 yards downrange, it starts telling you a little bit more what it thinks it's supposed to see versus what it's actually seeing. And maybe that's 2 yards off. And who cares about 2 yards high versus or 1 yard left or 5 feet short, right? At that point, it's like, okay, it's all pretty close when I'm hitting at 250, 270, 290. So what was happening is we were getting feedback from our player groups and our tour professional groups saying, hey, these golf balls, whether it's us or competitors, yeah, every once in a while I get one that just kind of floated on me, or I get one that kind of just fell out of the air. And we'd look at the data and we'd be like, no, data looks good. We don't see that. The ball looks good. And what ends up happening is we go up there because when we hear enough of that feedback, we got to go see it ourselves, whether it's, again, our product or competitor products. And we go up and watch these player tests, and they're right. Every 10 balls, 20 balls, 30 balls, you'd see one just kind of flutter out or kind of lift on you. and we look at the data and it didn't match up. We're like, okay, this TrackMan unit is kicking in an algorithm when it shouldn't. And it actually led us to create the most advanced range in the world. So we now have, we call it our DART system. So it's a Downrange Aerodynamic Research Testing Center or system. And it's 5 TrackMan units, kind of are all like super TrackMan units. They're all connected with fiber optic cables. And we can now track a golf ball within 3 inches of its entire flight with 100% accuracy. And it wasn't until we built that range based on that player feedback that then identified that the TrackMan units weren't giving us regular testing data that led us to build this range, that we identified that there was a disconnect in there. So it was pretty amazing that these players are that into it, that they're better than the machines, because they know the machine can't tell you when it made a mistake or when it kind of did 80% algorithm versus 20% actual or vice versa. But the athletes know, and because they've spent millions of shots learning it, and they could tell us that, hey, that golf ball did that, the machine didn't, and it required us to build entirely new equipment to be able to track it.
Sully, they have these, literally the TrackMan are 100, 150, 250 yards downrange looking back at the golfer.
Wow.
Yeah,
that's wild.
And then we have 2 at the end. Yeah, so we have 5 units. So one behind you, one at 100, one at 200, and then another 2 at 350. So, and they're pointed at different directions. So literally the one from behind and then the 100-yard one, they're picking up the golf ball through the flight and then through the flight. And then they're all connected to these 2 weather stations that we have up on our hill. So if there's like a big gust of wind, it can then kind of highlight it in red, being like, hey, this happened because we can kind of take each shot and connect how much wind was on each shot and where the wind was coming from.
So there's probably only one guy hitting at that time on the range, right? There's only one guy hitting for that, all those cameras to be able to pick up the one ball, or could you have 30
we can actually do up to like a dozen different players at once, and all the routers can read it. Granted, they have to be hitting in unique spots, but no, we can pick them all up. So
I got a question for you.
Yeah.
You said that, the gust of wind came out and that's why the ball moved, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Now, when I was playing baseball, there are a lot of guys that had sandpaper in their glove and they would put a little scuff on the ball, when they would throw it, the ball would just kind of go or zoom. So if I wanted, let's say there's a dog leg left and I had a scuff on my ball, would I put the scuff on the right side? I play left-handed. So I want to hit a cut, a little baby cut. Would I put that, where would I put the scuff, on the left side or the right side of the ball as I teed it up?
So, if you're talking a mud ball, right? So if you had some mud on your ball and you filled those dimples.
Or I should just have a scuffed ball in my pocket.
Yeah.
Whenever I get to a dog leg, okay, I'm going to play this one. And the aerodynamics would affect the ball and shoot it that way. So
exactly. So you'd want to face the scuff whichever way you want to hit it.
I'm left-handed, so I would put it closest to me on the right side.
Yep.
And then if it was a little slight dog leg, just go ahead and take a normal swing and the ball
you're good. You'll cut it off.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's not
cheater.
That's not cheating.
I don't think that's cheating at all.
I don't think that's cheating.
Yeah. The tough thing is you got to hit that one on the next shot too. But so hopefully
then I would say, hey, look, I got a big scuff on this ball. Can I take it out?
We have a new technology coming next year that's all about paint. We identified through this new driving range that how much impact how golf balls were being painted were creating to a product. If anyone that doesn't know, golf balls are painted 3 times. Layer of white paint, let it dry, layer of white paint, let it dry, layer of clear coat, let it dry. And what was happening is the way we were painting golf balls, the way everyone was painting golf balls, is that paint would drip. Anyone's paint anything. No, paint's tough to control. It drips and it pools and it globs into those dimples. And in essence, a lot of times it was flooding those dimples. And if you flooded a dimple pattern, what would happen is that golf ball flies through the air. It would create kind of a fluttery, turbulent flight, which was tough to control. And we'd see all these variations in dispersion and distance and ball speeds due to that flooded dimples. And this new technology we're rolling out is a completely unique way on finishing a golf ball that allows us to create the most consistent coverage we've ever measured on a product for the most consistent ball flight we've ever had. Because exactly what you're talking about, because scuffs or mud balls or inconsistent paint that's arguably invisible to your naked eye is creating that much variation in performance. And that's why we're coming out with this new products, and we're coming out with this new process called microcone, which is a completely new way of finishing a product.
Wow.
That's amazing.
Mike, I can't imagine you can keep improving a golf ball. Do you think we're closer to the ceiling of golf ball performance, or there'll always be more speed and more consistency? It's something you're always going to strive for, but man, it just seems like you can't do much more.
This one that we're coming out with now is a big breakthrough we've seen in the industry in a while. This one, again, was something we called the invisible problem because we didn't know it existed. Because it took not just that building that driving range, spending millions of dollars on a driving range to even measure the variation we were talking about. Then once we realized, hey, these two golf balls are flying different. They're in essence the exact same construction. You got two TP5s or two Pro V1s or two Chrome Softs, in essence identical, but they're flying different. Well, why? And again, just to figure out that they were flying differently took millions of dollars for us to build a driving range that even told us they were flying different. So then once we built that driving range, we're like, okay, well now why are they flying different? You cut them open, you're like, no, these golf balls still look identical. And you use the measurement equipment we have, and these golf balls are still identical. And magnifying glasses are still identical. It took another massive investment in microscopes and machine learning image processing to even show us that the difference between these two products was literally 12 microns worth of paint, right? You're talking about something thinner than a human hair, right? The thickness of a red blood cell was affecting these golf balls to the point where they were calling out that difference from the players, saying this one's floating, this one's falling out of the air, this one's trailing. So, I mean, for me, that's something that this equipment didn't exist in the world, and it required innovations in technology and science to be able to even identify this. So, I mean, yeah, I'd like to say that there's still a lot of room for us to grow just because the world keeps evolving. There's materials that don't exist yet or materials that haven't been put in golf balls. And one of the things I love about TaylorMade is we have this line where it's like, we don't launch a product unless it's noticeably and measurably better. Measurably is easy. So maybe not easy, but like it's easier. I can measure the difference. We hit all these shots and someone sends me some data and I can see the differences. Noticeably is a bigger difference. That's when I give you guys golf balls and you can actually notice the difference as a golfer. And in the last 4 or 5 versions of 5 and 5X that we've put together, we've had that kind of noticeably better, whether it's these products that are tighter dispersion and more consistent, whether it's the ones we had in 24 where the TP5X was almost a mile an hour faster, or the ones we had in 2017 where we were half a club longer in irons. I mean, those are noticeably different big changes to the game that we've been able to improve. And I can tell you, I got a roadmap for the next 5 years. We got some other pretty cool things also.
That's amazing.
Right. What about the average golfer? If you could design a ball purely for the double-digit guy, zero tour influence, what would you change?
It's interesting. So I talk about this one a lot because we talk a lot about greenside spin versus distance because there's a little bit of a trade-off there. And I worked on wedges for a number of years here. And one of the things you realize real quick is the higher the handicap gets, the more those grooves are filled with crap or dirt. And I'd always say, like, hey, if a golfer cared more about spin around the green, they clean their grooves more often because you really want to have the biggest impact in greenside performance. You should probably clean your grooves. There's not a golf ball I've seen that's going to create a lot of additional spin if those grooves are caked with dirt. So for me, if I'm designing it just for the average player, you're going to focus a little bit more on distance and greenside spin. So there's definitely some things we could do as far as maximizing low driver spin, low long iron spin, if we didn't have to worry as much about greenside spin. And again, once you start getting into the 12 handicaps and below, you need to be able to start holding greens. Otherwise, they start getting a little particular about that. It's not just a tour player thing, but I'd say there's definitely a connected relationship between handicap and how much dirt they have in their grooves.
Yeah.
That's very true.
Yeah.
But should a high handicapper spend the money on a TP5?
If they have the money, yeah. I mean, for me, I hate to talk about it that way, but a TP5, no matter who you are, is going to be longer than a Tour Response or Speedsoft or any of those lower price balls. Is it as noticeable as a tour player? Probably not, but heck, if I got the money for it, I can't imagine not playing that type of stuff anyway. It's probably not 10 yards like a tour player. Maybe it's 2 yards, but I wouldn't want to give up 2 yards. I think when you get out of, like I said, TP5 is you get longer distance with your drivers and more spin around the green. That also includes the longer long irons and then more controllable flighted short irons. So those are really just 4 unique things that you get throughout your game. If you're a high enough handicap where you don't even think that way, or you're not considering it that way, then yeah, you probably don't need to focus on it. And that's why we have Tour Response, which is a level down, which is softer, but almost as long as 5 and 5X and almost as much greenside spin as TP5. But it's designed more for the average player. It's just not looking for a tour caliber product. So just because you're going down in price doesn't mean you're sacrificing everything. It's kind of, there's layers, right? How much do you really value distance off the tee and spin around the green? I value it a lot. Great. Well, then you should try and play a tour ball if you can afford it. If you value it a fair amount, and maybe tour response. If you value it very little, then you can start playing lower price products. But regardless of the price point, we'll give you as much as we possibly can at that price point. Our goal isn't just making the best balls for the best players in the world. It's making the best golf balls for whatever price point you're at. And we'll continue to try and meet your needs and exceed your expectations. That's really our jobs, because it's consumable. It's not like we're just making one product. We're making products for lots and lots of golfers.
Would you argue picks is more of a game changer for a mid to high handicapper than a tour pro?
I don't know, man. Tommy Fleetwood seems to love it. You try and ask him that question. He loves picks, loves it. Like, he loves it as much as I love it. And I'd say they use it differently. The tour players that have used picks really appreciate the feedback that they get from how they roll the putt and how they align a putt. So they really use it from that respect. I think amateurs, as much as the alignment feedback that they get out of it, the personality component of that's a big part. As I'm looking at your hats, and granted, you're wearing similar type of pullovers, but that doesn't help as much. But for us, I'm sure we all have different head covers, right? Or any of you just carrying nothing but stock head covers? There's a personality part to this game that we all care about, right? It's fun. Like, part of the reason we're doing this is like we like all this stuff, and we like going to a golf course and getting the ball markers or getting the head covers and getting the hat. Picks is a little bit of personality as much as it is performance. Yeah, Tommy Fleetwood doesn't use it probably because of the personality creates. He plays it because he believes, and he does. When he switched the picks, his putting stats improved. The amateur golfer says a little bit of both. We get as much feedback from the amateurs that they play because they love how it looks as they do as they love how it performs.
Awesome.
Got it. Hey, just a quick question. 5 versus a 5X. I always buy the X. Yep. What's the difference?
The difference is how you want to play your game. Basically, TP5 is softer with more spin around the green. If you're someone that's your focus, is, hey, I love the way something feels, I love that softer feel, and my priority is spin around the green, you're TP5. If you're someone that's prioritizing distance and ball speed and low spin with your driver, that's TP5X. What's great about our 5-layer products is we're not trying to compromise on performance, right? Both products are going to have low driver spin and high wedge spin. The things that we're choosing between are more preference-based things. So I want a softer golf ball with a little bit more check around the green, not no check. It's not no check on TP5X. There's still a lot of check that's good for a lot of tour players, but TP5 is like an extra level up, and that's kind of more of a preference-based thing. TP5X, same deal. Am I looking for just more lower driver spin? Am I looking for more penetrating flight? Again, these are more preference-based things than performance. But the easy way is TP5 is soft, high greenside spin. TP5X is fast, a little firmer, a little bit more low driver spin, penetrating ball flight. But they both still are great off the driver and great with the wedge. And that's really what 5 layers gives you.
Got it.
Cowell Insurance Services is your leading program administrator for workers' compensation. They're dedicated to meeting the unique challenges of the insurance industry and assisting employers in reducing their costs. CIS has provided insurance claim and loss control services to various industries, including trucking, construction, retail convenience stores, and healthcare, as well as public entities for over 30 years. They work with both retail agents and industry clients, or a combination of the two. If you're tired of fighting the rising costs of premiums and claims, give Cowell Insurance Services a call. Their dedicated staff is ready to find you the best insurance option at the most competitive price. They can help to define or enhance your safety program in order to move you in the right direction in reducing your claim and premium costs. Contact Cowell Insurance Services today, 816-214-4070.
What's up, Underground? Sully here with a message from our friends over at Bob's Site. Now, buying a new vehicle can be a bit like buying a new set of clubs, which means when you want to drive the ball straight, you seek advice from experts, golf pros like our boy Wardo. And when it comes to buying your next car or truck, you also need expert advice so that you drive away in style. Well, you now have options with the Site family's expanded dealership, now including Honda and Chrysler, Dodge, Jeep, Ram in Lawrence, Kansas. And they're there to guide you to the perfect vehicle. With a commitment to exceptional service and a real passion for helping each customer, they're like the trusted golf pros of the auto world. And they're ready to analyze your needs and match you with your ideal ride. So step into bobsite.com or visit their Lawrence locations. Experience the difference of a team that's dedicated to helping you navigate your options, ensuring you drive off with confidence and satisfaction. Hey, Brian Sullivan of Golf Underground with my favorite orthopedic surgeon, Dr. Kevin Whitty from Sano Orthopedics. Hey, Doc, golf season's over. My back is killing me. I know it's football season, so you get a lot of kids coming in, blown ACLs, all sorts of body parts with problems. And then, of course, those baseball players. I know you fix a lot of elbows. Why is Sano Orthopedics the absolute best sports medicine orthopedic group in Kansas City?
Well, if you want to see the guys in town who've had the best orthopedic fellowship training in sports medicine, including training with Dr. James Andrews and Dr. Larry Lemack, come see us. We individualize patients' plans to get them back to that activity and that sport that they love. And we actually care and listen to our patients and follow up with them, make sure that they're getting the results they need.
Okay, and so the three things that separate you: number one, best training; number two, you specialize in getting people on that field; number three, you're actually listen. Where can I learn more? Because you got me all in, and I don't really want to get fixed, but it's time.
At SanoOrthopedics.com, 816-525-2840.
Hi, this is George Brett, Hall of Fame baseball player, and I've been playing golf for over 35 years. Hitting the ball far was never my problem, but the closer I got to the greens, that's when my problems began. When I wanted a golf practice area in my backyard, I called Celebrity Greens. They are the industry leader in custom-built synthetic golf greens. These championship caliber, low-maintenance greens roll great, react like real bent grass, and hold chip shots that check and spin. I absolutely love mine, not only in Kansas City, but also in Arizona. Call the pros at Celebrity Greens at 1-888-507-7960 or visit them online at celebritygreens.com. Practice like the pros, or people like me that want to be pros, right in your own backyard.
Hey, Brian Sullivan, Golf Underground, with a little tip for you. If you're looking to buy a new Ford, you have to check out my buddy, Jason Gudenkoff at Lewisburg Ford. They've been saving Midwest Ford buyers thousands of bucks for over 40 years because they do business the right way. They sell everything, check this out, for $50 over invoice. That's simple and cheap. And they win a lot of awards. In fact, they won Ford's President's Award 17 times. That's the top Ford award. And they only give it to dealers with superior customer satisfaction in sales and service. So they know how to take care of customers better than anybody. Now, what these guys know how to do also, keep this in mind, sell trucks. Lewisburg Ford has sold more F-150s than any other Ford dealership in greater Kansas City. That's 2 years running. And last year, they were the number one F-150 sales leader in the entire state of Kansas. So, no hassle. $50 over invoice pricing, unparalleled customer satisfaction, and a huge selection. That's a perfect recipe for selling trucks. So, check out all their inventory and prices online at lewisburgford.com or give them a call at 816-444-2300.
New golf clubs, a big screen TV to watch the U.S. Open, or maybe even a new golf cart that I've got my eye on.
No matter how you choose to spend the savings, if you're looking to put a dent in your monthly heating and cooling bills, the answer may be right over your head. If your attic isn't insulated properly, you're missing out on a prime opportunity to cut costs. Call the certified energy experts at Star Companies, Inc., 816-353-2160 for a free estimate to learn how they can help you save money. 816-353-2160 or visit starcompanieskc.com.
All right, Wardo?
All right, should we hit him with a little Sheridan's Unforked rapid fire?
Let's do it, baby.
Mr.
Yeah,
Fox.
love these.
George, you got any rapid fires in the chamber?
I got one more quick question.
Yeah.
How much money, because I know you're doing the balls mostly, right?
Yeah.
And that stuff. I mean, between you and Titleist and Callaway, Ping, and all that stuff, I mean, you guys are spending millions and millions of dollars a year on research, aren't you?
Oh, yeah, millions.
Oh, every year, just trying to stay one step above the competition, right?
Yeah, 100%.
It's crazy. I got a new set of irons that the TaylorMade guy gave me.
Yeah.
Well, because I was playing golf with him in Kansas City, and he said, George, those irons are so old. So he gave me a new set. And I'm in Arizona. I brought him out to Arizona with me for the winter. And it was amazing. The first time I played, how much they would spin. I'd hit a chip shot, and it would bounce twice and stop. You know, I'd hit a 60 degree or a 50 degree on the green. It would suck back 5 feet, where my other ones didn't do it. And, you know, granted, they were new. First time I ever used them. There was no gunk in the grooves. You know, they were pure. But it was amazing. I felt the difference. Yeah. And I had a little brown bubble on my old driver. And so he said, I got to get you a new driver. And it's amazing how good I hit that one compared to the one I had before.
Yeah.
It's just incredible. And the guy over there on the right, Charlie, you know, me and Dylan won the tournament again. We won it. But remember when you were out here, we played? I was hitting my driver bad. And I said, what's going on? You said, George, lean back a little, get your weight back, you know, stay behind it a little bit. And that's all I think about. And I'm driving it so much better. Thanks, pal. But the new driver is better, I think. From what I've noticed, my new driver is better because I think I'm putting more consistent good swings at the same time with the driver.
It had a bubble in it too, in the face.
Well, the other one had a bubble, yeah.
The 4D is coming out here soon as well, buddy. So there is another new one.
Yeah,
this
new driver is special. The next year with the new 4D driver and the new TP5 and 5X, there are a couple of unicorn products that are going to be pretty special and fun to play with next year. I promise. I encourage my friends to take lessons as well. It's all a big part of it because you want to be able to maximize it. I'm not sure. Yeah, we're spending millions of dollars in R&D. This is a fun place to work. I can tell you, this is my 20th year here. It's the only job I've ever had, kind of big grown-up job. I worked in pro shops and when I was in college and high school and things like that. But for me, you know, like this was, as an adult, really the only place I've ever worked, and it's been incredible.
And what was your first job when you got to TaylorMade? What was your first job there?
Customer service. I graduated college in May of 2005.
Where?
University of Albany, so up in upstate New York. From Long Island originally, so other side of the country. So I'd heard of this place, Carlsbad. Never been there, didn't know where it was. I knew it was in California, but I didn't know where in California. But there used to be this show on the Golf Channel called What's in the Bag. They kind of have episodes like What's in the Bag Rescues, or What's in the Bag Drivers, or What's in the Bag Irons. And they would do interviews with people from all the different equipment manufacturers, like the Mies of then. And they get their opinion on how you make the best driver and how you make the best iron. This is what the episodes were. And they were all from this place, Carlsbad, California. So I'm like, you know what? I'm going to Carlsbad. Like I said, I worked in retail and pro shops in high school and college when I wasn't in school. So when I graduated school in May, I kind of found a buddy and I packed up all my stuff. I went to AAA and got some maps to take me to Carlsbad, not really knowing where it was. I kind of packed up all my stuff and moved out to Carlsbad. I rented a couch for a few months and then eventually got my first job in customer service, and 20 years later I'm still here. That was actually 20 years ago, 2 months ago. So just think if you did that now, you would just say, Siri, how do I get to Carlsbad? I know, it would have been a lot easier.
Yeah, right. Isn't that amazing?
I do think about that because I love telling that story. And I mean, I had some job offers to sell stuff, and my degree was in marketing, so I had some actually interviews with our ad agency at the time. And turning those down and taking that job in customer service was the best I ever made. Did that for 6 months to a year. Then I worked on the brand team for a few years, and I've been on the product side for almost 15 plus years now. And it's been an incredible ride, and I hope to get to continue to ride it. So yeah, every year continues to be fascinating and fun and exciting. And I think what you're talking about before is we get a lot of people here from incredible industries. You'd think like, oh, why would you ever come from auto racing or F1 or military defense or like aerospace, like these like industries that you would think would be like, why would you go from that to golf? Well, we get to be pretty cutting edge here. Like if you can't use prototype materials or brand new substrates if you're working on planes because something catastrophic can happen. Right, from us, we have the same similar aerodynamic properties, same kind of impact studies that we have to do, but we get to just push advancement as far as we can. And for us, we can be on the cutting edge of all those materials and all these new things that come out in the world, testing and be able to put them in the golf. It's fun. I tell you, we have a lot of people. I think it's almost 20% of our workforce has been here over 20 years because it's fun. It is really, really a cool place to work.
Well, I'm kind of a Formula One guy and got a chance to know Zach Brown from McLaren. And Kevin and I went down to Austin and went to the race down there. And he had kind of hinted around that they were thinking about getting into the golf club business. Because, too, with Formula One, when you said these scientists and physicists and all those guys, they're doing the same thing. They're going to F1 teams like other people are going to Titleist and TaylorMade. They're going, hey, and this guy loves golf. So he's probably saying, hey, let's come out with a golf club. Now, and then he also said they're thinking about going into tennis rackets.
Yeah. You think about materials, right? Materials and aerodynamics.
Yeah.
This is what the game is. The thing that I love about just what we do is it is not just science, right? F1 is primarily science with a little bit of feel and aesthetic combined to it. I could tell you, we can make the best performing golf clubs and golf balls in the world, but if they looked and sounded terrible, no one would use them.
Mm-hmm.
It is this, so as many people as we have on the R&D and engineering side is almost as many as we have on the graphic design and industrial design in the player testing group. We have a group of players that are some of the most elite amateur golfers in the world that we're constantly getting feedback from, because we need to make sure it works and sounds good and feels right for their game. Because, as a better player, if something doesn't look right, it'll affect the performance. Again, we can make if we just let the engineers run wild, they probably make some pretty good pretty good performing products. But if we gave it to a golfer and they said, hey, this thing looks like it's going left, it's going to go left. It's really this awesome world that I actually get to sit in the middle of, working with designers and elite athletes, as well as incredible, brilliant engineers and physicists and chemists, to be able to put together a single golf club. It's this marriage of performance and personality, or form and function is what we call it, that gets to come together. It's what's so cool about it.
Unreal.
That's wild.
All right, should we hit them with the rapid fire?
Sure.
Yeah, I've got a couple, and then I got to jump into a lesson. All right, here we go. Sheridan's Unforked rapid fire. All right, Mike Fox, the best sound you've heard off of a Tour Pros club. Who is it?
The first time I heard Rory hit a golf ball was unlike anything I'd ever heard. It was cool.
Who has the best set of hands / short game, can do the best, coolest stuff with a golf ball inside of 50 yards?
John Rahm, I saw hit some shots. He loves to talk about Sevi. He's got some shots in his bag that I couldn't even fathom. He's got amazing touch around the greens.
Love it. The best putter you've seen?
Putting's hard. Tommy Fleetwood rolls it great. He really does. I mean, they all are kind of streaky. They're all so much better. And I realize I think Tommy's the best I've seen putt.
Love it. Sully.
Yeah, I got one. Hey, what's the first thing you notice when you pick up a golf ball that is not TaylorMade?
The color. I'm a big variation of white guy. You ever think, golf balls are white, round, and sit on the ground? Are they blue white? Are they yellow white? Are they gray white? And all companies have different whites. So I'm a big oh man, this thing's white. They chose a different white. I wonder why.
Well, what ball are you playing?
So I use the TP5X. So I'm 6'3", but I'm sneaky short. I play the golf ball that goes the furthest. Although I'll tell you what, this new TP5 is almost as long, and it might be as long as my current TP5X. I hit some shots. I played it this last weekend with my father-in-law, and I hit just this incredible kind of 50-yard wedge shot to kind of an elevated kind of perch of a green. And he was standing up there, and he watched it just check, and he's just like, that's a shot I've never been able to hit before and didn't have the confidence to hit before. So I think I'm going to switch to the new TP5 for the first time in a long time next year.
And Mike, your handicap is what?
I play to a 6, but I'm really careful to not have a vanity handicap, because I realized when I had a vanity handicap, I ain't get invited to very many member guests. And now I get invited to a lot of member guests. If I'm a 7, I get a lot of invites.
Hey, if somebody invites you to their member guest, I know one thing, he's not going to have to buy any balls for a while, right?
No, he definitely doesn't.
Anytime you want to come to Arizona and play with me at Whisper Rock, you're more than welcome.
Oh, hey,
ball supply is getting a little low right now, because at home I play on a triple fairway course lined by trees. Yep. And at Whisper Rock, it's all desert on both sides.
Yeah. You also typically get to keep both of the presents that they give you for signing up for the tournament. So I don't normally typically need any of the gear that they give out. Get any of the prizes as well. I'd say my handicap's starting to, when I got here, I think everyone's so good. I'm probably arguably one of the worst players on my team. My boss, was an elite amateur. We have a number of guys that have been US Open compete a lot of the US Open or USAM tournaments, and still do. I mean, just on my team alone of 30 people, we must have 10 that are scratch or better. So I used to definitely have a little bit more of that vanity handicap, but I realized that I wasn't getting as many invites or winning much money. So as I've gotten older, I'd say that's one of the biggest pieces of wisdom. It's hey, I'd rather be a 6 and get to have a lot of fun than be a 3 and lose my shirt every week.
I know the feeling.
Yeah. What a fun job. You got a fun job.
Yeah, I'll tell you, it's hard. The industry continues to be fascinating, whether it's rollback or Tiger or COVID or whatever. I mean, this industry continues to change and continues to be fascinating. I was talking to my boss about earlier. We got super cool jobs, and the industry continues to be fascinating and continue to have breakthroughs. And I love everything about it.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Well, listen, Mike, thanks so much for joining us today. You got some exciting things coming down the road in the next few weeks. I will make my promise to you that I will continue to lose 3 TP5Xs pretty much every Saturday. Okay, so I'm doing my part for the company.
I would appreciate that.
Okay.
But you know what, Mike? I think it'd be more appropriate if he would play golf without his TaylorMade hat and wear a Titleist hat, because he is really a bad golfer. He should play TaylorMade, but wear a Titleist hat.
Jerk.
I just didn't, Sully.
No, I appreciate it.
Well, Mike, hey, keep in touch. Come on back after that big launch. We'd love to hear how the folks are doing with it. All right, and have a happy holiday, you and your family.
Yeah, you as well. Guys, really appreciate the time. Thank you for
all right, guys. Keep listening to Golf Underground. See you next time.